In this video, I'm going to discuss sportsmanship in gaming and ask, do we really need it? Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So a couple of things have sparked me to discuss sportsmanship in wargaming. First was the story that came out recently about a 40k match at the Las Vegas Open, where during deployment, one player made a mistake. Now granted, that's the very shortened down version, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And his opponent stuck very firmly to the rules, which meant that the mistake essentially cost the player the game. Now that player then decided to continue to play out his match even though he couldn't win because the game was being streamed live on Twitch, and otherwise there'd have been a few hours of no coverage. Now at this point, one of the founders of Riot Games, who are famous for League of Legends, decided to reward that show of sportsmanship by giving the player $5,000. Now this player very kindly decided to donate that $5,000 to a charity. Games Workshop then, to show their support of the good sportsmanship, also donated a further $5,000 to that same charity. The second thing that got me thinking about this was something I saw yesterday on a Facebook post. Now I won't name who it was or what gaming Facebook group it was from, as that person might not want to be named in this video. However, it was about how this person were aware of their perceived poor sportsmanship and how they wanted to improve it, and were looking for some feedback. Now this got me thinking, why do we consistently talk about sportsmanship when it comes to miniature gaming? We have sportsmanship scoring in most tournaments these days, and usually we have a best sports award which rewards the player with the most best player votes on the day. And this tends to be based upon how fun they were to play against. Now I'm not sure when this started or even why it started, but do we really need it? Are we miniature gamers such a vile bunch of people that we need to actively encourage each other to play nice? Is miniature gaming so tense and cutthroat that it brings out the worst in its players? Now, I looked at some other competitive hobbies and sports, but I actually couldn't see any that actively gave a benefit in a scoring system for being a nice opponent. Now, surely we just have a general rule in life that is essentially, don't be a dick. And that should keep you right in most situations. Now, of course, not everyone follows this, and you will encounter these people from time to time in general life. However, this shouldn't mean we need to encourage people to be good sports. The win-at-all-cost gamers will still play the way they do, and in a tournament situation where there's prizes on offer, as long as they stay within the rules, can we really blame them? Now, we don't have this rule as such in friendly club games, for example. We just assume people will be a pleasant person to play against and will have a fun game, win or lose. And generally that's how it goes. There's always that guy, but people tend not to play against them if that's the case. Now, when it comes to tournaments, it is a little different. You need to play who you're drawn against, so you can't avoid that guy if that's your opponent. You're also entering into a competition with awards, be that trophies or products, or even in some cases of the bigger tournaments, cash prizes. So you can accept that there's going to be more of a competitive edge in this situation. This, however, shouldn't mean that people suddenly descend into anarchy and need to be told how to behave. So I asked this question on my Facebook group today to try and get a bit of a wider perspective and some feedback, and after a bit of a chat, I think I eventually came up with the answer I was looking for. Now, we as wargamers know that we have a very niche hobby, and there's not always a huge pool of players to play against. And when it comes to tournaments, that pool of people becomes even smaller. Now, within our hobby, we have some people who really enjoy the painting side, and maybe they enter a tournament to try and win a painting prize or for the social aspect. We have people who maybe don't play too many games at home or in a store, so they enter tournaments to try and get a few games in against extra opponents, learn against some new armies, and maybe just sort of get a few more games, learn how to play a little bit quicker. You also get people who just love to socialise with other people who have a common interest, and they couldn't care less about winning or losing. It's just about the enjoyment of playing. Then of course we have competitive players who get great enjoyment from crafting a fantastic list and trying to end the event as the best player there. What is very apparent is that we have a wide range of abilities and reasons for attending in the lineup, and not everyone is there to win. Now that is very different to almost any other tournament that I can think of. The word tournament is defined as a series of contests between a number of competitors competing for an overall prize. It conjures up a feeling of knights battling it out for supremacy until there's only one left standing. However, our tournaments are really a day-long party of fun with some prizes at the end. We want everyone to leave having had a great experience, and that's where sportsmanship comes in. It's the social contract between players that says, please take into account that we're all here for slightly different reasons. We all have different abilities and we just want to have an enjoyable experience, so please play with that in mind. Maybe we shouldn't call them tournaments anymore, and that might challenge the win at all costs mentality. Maybe we shouldn't call it sportsmanship because actually it's much more than that. It's about respecting your opponents and all of us collectively trying to ensure that we leave our opposing player with a positive experience of our time playing each other. At the end of the day, you can attend an event with the hardest, filthiest list and still have your opponent feel like they've had fun. In the same way, you can turn up with a list you put together on the morning, which is massively underpowered, and still leave your opponent with a bitter taste of your encounter by the way you treat them. Sportsmanship is really less about the tournament and less about how you play and more about how you treat your fellow gamers. That's why it should always be encouraged. Now, we can debate about whether we should have points for it or if it should be included in the overall scores of an event, but that's a very different question. Encouraging good sportsmanship-like behaviour is always a positive thing. Having thought about it, we should actually be really proud that we're the only hobby or sport that actively encourages it, as it shows a maturity and a respect amongst all of the players, even if it's not always followed by all. So, over to you guys. What do you think? Do you agree that sportsmanship should be very heavily influenced by the rules pack, or is it just a given and it shouldn't even be included? I'd love to know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.